Are you ready to transform your normal e-commerce business into one that experiences exponential growth year after year using online advertising? If so, this show is for you. Me and my guests will show you how you too can grow your e-commerce business to 7 or even 8 figures so you can go on more luxurious vacations, spoil yourself and your family, say yes to more opportunities, and become financially free so you never have to worry about money again. Welcome to the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show. Hey, how's it going, guys? Josh Marsden here of the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show. And I have an incredible guest for you. I have Ron Lynch. Ron is responsible for over $4 billion in e-commerce sales. So he's an incredible guest, and I'm really stoked, really excited to talk with Ron about his background, his experience, and really how to create compelling ads. He's got a deep amount of knowledge in this topic. This carries over to advertising today. Advertising is advertising. It hasn't changed in 100 plus years. The medium's the only thing that's changed. So this is going to be incredibly valuable for you. Thanks, Ron, for being on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here. I hope this is useful time for everybody.
I know it will. I know it will be.
I've prepared a lot of fun stuff today, so I hope everybody enjoys it.
Yeah, good deal, man. Good deal. Well, if we could just maybe start by you going over your background, your story. You know, what brought you to this point? This way the audience can get to know you.
Yeah, I'll be quick about that. As a college student, I was studying pre-law and marketing, and I thought I was going to be a lawyer. And I was lucky enough to have a friend invite me to an audition for a movie. And I landed a role in a movie when I was about 20 years old that Robert Altman directed. And he's kind of a big old time movie director, passed away since then, but he was kind of a protege of Alfred Hitchcock. And I ended up in the movie business as an actor, and I kept my day job as a grocery store checker. And I started writing screenplays. I thought, oh, this whole movie thing is really fun. And so I learned to screenwrite, and my day job was working in a grocery store, and my nighttime gig was writing screenplays and plays. And eventually I worked my way up in the grocery business, and I was working my way up kind of in the Hollywood business, and both of those collided, and I ended up renting space as a grocery store director to one of my friends who was filming George Foreman grill infomercials in my grocery store. And okay. I ended up selling a screenplay to George Foreman's agent, Sam Perlmutter. And then that kind of was it. The next week I left my grocery job, and I was directing short form infomercials and long form infomercials and writing them. And so I was from grocery store director, but the thing of grocery stores, it taught me P&Ls. I understood business mechanics, real estate, margins, selling, and using the cooking kiosks in the stores to transform what people ate and really kind of sell them into a better diet. So I understood this presentation, and I understood retail, and I understood screenwriting. And you put all three of those together, and I was lucky out of the gate. I had a whole bunch of hits in the infomercial business. I thought I was invincible. And then I had a whole bunch of failures. And what I learned through the failures is how to pick the right product, and picking the right product matters. And it has, there's a certain chemistry of talent, awareness, and basic business knowledge, but tied to storytelling. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's an incredible story, man. What were some of the brands that you did some infomercials for?
The very first short forms I did were for space bags that you put your clothes in them and press the air out, for American Tourister and Samsonite, which was right after 9/11, when people were needing to put their things in a bag and have them see through in the airport. And then I did a show called The Ultimate Chopper that I wrote with a client, and that ended up selling, I don't know, something like $80 million with food processors. I did a show called The Total Trolley, which was infomercial of the year in the TV industry. And then done things for J&J, I've done knives, I've done smartware, bakeware, I've done a lot of cooking things, a lot of hardware things. And then I think that the thing that has brought me the most notoriety probably in the last decade is the agency I used to have in Seattle. We launched the GoPro camera. And so kind of became known
It's kind
for.
of a big deal.
Yeah, and my partner was very well known for like doing the George Foreman grill prior to that, and then there was the Clarisonic toothbrush and OxyClean, and there were all these other things that kind of came along in the way, and I got to touch some of those. I got to work with Billy Mays, so that was cool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Wow. Here's a lot of things that really want to talk about, because you've got a very exciting kind of background that I resonate with, you know, you being in film and, you know, being in that kind of world. And, you know, then obviously this organically happened, you know, just at the grocery store you worked at, right? And then from there, you know, how many years has it been since that moment?
I started directing the week after 9/11. On 9/11, I had no job. I'd left the grocery business and I was out of work for like 10 days. And then my friend hired me at the agency. So I remember 9/11 witnessing that in my living room with my wife. And we went to school and picked up our kids and came home. And that was a very pivotal, kind of iconic moment in my life when like the whole world shifted for me. So I've been doing it since then, since the 01.
That brings back memories, because September 11, 2001, I was in basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia. So,
oh golly, wow!
Yeah.
What was it like on a military base?
You know, when it happened, we were all kind of just quiet, like, what just happened? And you know, it was funny. So I was with a small group of us, around 5 to 7 people. We went to, I believe, the medical center, which is attached to the gym, to basically see like one of the nurses, just to go through like, I think, some physical results. I think that's what we were doing. It was something like that, something medically related. And I'm in the lobby, and I walk into the lobby actually, and a friend of mine is staring at a TV in the corner of the room, and I'm just like, okay, what's going on? So I walk up and I look up, and I remember that feeling of like looking at the TV, seeing like the news about the planes hitting, you know, the World Trade Center in New York, and I'm just wondering, like, is this real? Like, I just felt baffled, like what is going on right now? And then we just started talking about it, and you know, a few of my fellow soldiers, they were crying about it, because I think they had, you know, connections to the area, and from that point on, in basic training, I mean, drill sergeants were just amping it up, you know, much more intense with us. They were.
Was that on the Eastern time zone, Lejeune? Is that in the Eastern time zone or Central?
Yeah, Eastern.
So you were like, okay, so that's, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning there, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And from that point on too, drill sergeants were just like 100% telling us, we're going to go to Afghanistan. You're preparing for Afghanistan. They were planning, you know, putting that in our heads, making sure, and then, you know, using that to push us to be ready, you know, this way we can be sent over and we can, you know, do what we need to do. But yeah, it was a pretty surreal, intense moment for sure. And I'll never forget it.
Yeah, I think, you know, even my kids were, I think, 5 and 6 in kindergarten and first grade. Now they're in their 20s, and they still recall it. It was like, it was kind of our Pearl Harbor for our generation. You can't escape that. So yeah, it was a big pivot for us. So
yeah, for sure. So did you do anything like in film, just out of curiosity? It's just more of a personal interest than anything else. When you were over there, like, how many like films did you do? Were there any films that people would know about?
Yeah, I grew up in Seattle, and so it was nice to have a SAG card in Seattle, because at that time there was a lot of films being made in the 1990s. So I think I made films from about 87, the first film with Robert Altman, which was the Caine Mutiny Court Martial, and then I did a bunch of Disney small films, and then I did a movie with Shirley MacLaine where I actually got to act opposite her on screen, which was kind of crazy.
That's cool.
Called what's it called? Vincent Schiavelli was in it. Oh, Waiting for the Light. Terry Garr was in it. And then I did a movie called Dogfight, which was one of River Phoenix's last films. It was the one before My Own Private Idaho, which was his last movie. So that was interesting. I was in a movie called American Heart with Jeff Bridges, and Jeff Bridges is the guy that told me to write screenplays. So that was before he was That's awesome. Dude. He was still Starman back then, you know? So I did a lot of writing, and I've written, 12 or 13 screenplays now, and I still write screenplays for fun. It's a good hobby.
Yeah, that's really cool. We'll definitely have to connect about that at some point in the future, because on my list of business ideas in my next business life, one of them is going to school for film and learning how to create films. It's just something I've always wanted to do, and I've been in short films with a friend that was going to film school in my early 20s, but I never got a chance to learn the process of creating the film, editing the film, publishing the film, writing the screenplay. Like, I don't, that's something that I would love to learn just for fun, and not even for like a business sense. It would be more of a hobby, if anything.
The great thing about films is that the price of making a film has come down so far. And I'll show you something today that we literally did for free. My son held the audio kit, I held the camera, and do you know Kurt Molly?
Mm-hmm.
Kurt's a good friend of mine. I'll show you a commercial that Kurt and his girlfriend Christina acted in today that did very well online, and it cost us nothing to make. So the tools are at your disposal. It's kind of funny. I think there's two things that I think that people don't realize about technology that is at their hands right now. And the first thing is that if you own a web page, you technically own a television station without an FTC license. And we still look at our web pages and our websites as though they're static, like they're a version of print because we watch them on this electronic typewriter, but they're not. They're TV stations. And I think 15 or 20 years from now, people will look back and go, you owned your own electronic media that you could stream constant video on, and you chose not to? Were you out of your mind? Because you could turn any one of these laptops into a CNN, frankly.
Heck yeah, yeah.
And in 2007, I shot a 5-camera shoot that was an international live satellite telecast. 5 cameras, satellite truck, and we blasted it around the world. And now, with 5 of these, I could do the same thing. That used to be it was like $4 million worth of gear. And now with 5 phones, you could do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And imagine where it's going to be 5-10 years from now, 20 years from now, even.
Well, these kids that are raised in our current environment that don't have the mentality that we have from growing up with TVs to go, what do you mean? It's a screen, it's a camera. I think we're limited by our past, and they won't. I think it'll be unique.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Hopefully there's some people in the younger generation that we're talking about that, a good portion of those people are wise to know how much you can absorb from previous generations. You can apply towards, your own life and also future generations, just because there's so much value that you can learn from other people that have been around longer, that have lived through, prior generations.
Yeah, I guess the only downside to that is we have a whole lot of people that are skipping the training for talent portion. They think that they should be able to step to the line and just be famous.
Entitlement.
Without a skill set.
Yeah.
At least go practice.
Right.
Get good at it before you expect the trophy.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, man. So now let's talk about your infomercial, experience here, because I think that, I want to make sure we have a lot of time dedicated to that, because that's invaluable to the audience, because, it takes a lot to be able to create an ad that works, is effective, that gets the results that people want. So, I'd love just to kind of dive into that. So, with infomercials, just tell us maybe about what an infomercial is from your perspective, you being an expert in that, and how it's been used to date. And then we can kind of segue our way into talking about, some of the frameworks that that you've developed in the infomercial space that have also been transitioned over into the advertising. Sorry, I can't even talk. Advertising space.
Well, it's funny. That's a good Freudian slip, the advertorial, because that's really where it started. It's very much based in David Ogilvy, long form print advertising about furnaces and fences and, aluminum siding and all the things that used to be in magazines. And that form of advertising turned into television programming. And it started out as half hours at some point. There were short live interrupts done in the 50s and 60s in live TV shows. You go back to the Jack Benny show, which, your audience probably never heard of, but he was like the Jimmy Fallon of 1955. And they would do these interrupts in the middle of the show for Colgate toothpaste or Comet in the middle of a TV show. And the shows that's where the term soap opera came from. They were started by soap companies, Procter and Gamble, mm-hmm. Dove's Hour of, whatever the TV show was. So it kind of started that way. And when I entered the world, it was very well established. And they were these solid half-hour programs. Tony Robbins had already been on the air. Tom Vu. It was lots of seminars, lots of self-help, and it was just getting into hard goods. And hard and soft goods came along and really took off with knives and choppers and pillows and ladders and all of the things I think most people are familiar with, lots of cooking shows. And so it basically, an infomercial is essentially a jury trial, is what you're putting on. It's a trial by jury for a product. And the thing that's different between an infomercial and a movie or a TV show is, in a movie or a TV show, you build drama and tension, and eventually that tension builds to a peak at the end of Act 2, and it's released, and there's a turn, and then Act 3 has denouement. And an infomercial is the inverse of that you go in as fast as you can, and you have the peak at the beginning, and then people decide to buy really rapidly, and then they watch the rest of the content to see if you've lied to them, if they trust you, what the other parts and pieces are. And there's a structure to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's learning the structure. The structure can be learned. And sadly, I did it, so that means anybody can do it, right?
Well, I mean, hey, you should give yourself a ton more credit, but no, you're just humble, and that's awesome. Yeah, when you were saying that, I was thinking to myself of Avengers Endgame, most popular movie of 2019, right? And you're right, it followed that same process where it kind of built up, and towards the end of Act 2, there's the peak of the conflict, and you're waiting for the burst, and then of course, the resolution at the end, and then the payoff, So it's interesting the way you frame that, between, what happens in film versus what happens in a typical ad with an infomercial.
Yeah, you're trying to bring into as early as possible a massive problem, a massive solution, reveal a USP, and some sort of remarkable demonstration so that people go, I want that, and is that true? And then they simply have to hang on to see whether it's true and to see what the offer and the deal is. Okay.
So adapt that now to like advertising today, especially with online advertising, Facebook, that's probably the best medium, or YouTube even. Sure. With Facebook and YouTube, how has that basically transitioned over? And, and what are some best practices in your opinion when it comes to creating, effective Facebook video ads and also effective YouTube video ads?
Well, I feel like you just teed up the softball. Can I share some slides with you?
That would be awesome.
Okay, I'm going to show you.
Completely unplanned, guys. Completely unplanned.
Let me show you some slides I'd normally do in a presentation, and I might blow through a couple of them that aren't really germane to this discussion, but I think it'll be pretty useful for the viewer. So let me
awesome.
Let me fire up my PowerPoint here, and let me know if you can see that. Hope you can see.
Sure can.
That's Kelly Slater. And this is what we call the psychology of ad paths. And really, this is the essence of what the GoPro campaign was here in one slide, is we put this top image out of GoPro Be a Hero, and all of the commercials started with that. And then there was about 25 seconds of content in the middle that would be Kelly Slater surfing or Shaun White snowboarding. And then at the end, there was a context test mechanism that was the CTA. So that's kind of the infomercial in its simplest form, which is, here we are, here's the problem we solve, here's the product, here's the magic of the product, and here's a way to obtain it. This is the idea of a long form commercial in an ad flow, in an ad path. And this works on Facebook, and this works on YouTube equally as well. And what I essentially have here is, everybody's seen a funnel, and this is essentially a sales funnel, but it's a video sales funnel. And we start with a very brief ad, and I'll show you one in a minute, that brings people in to the ad path, it gets them pixelated. So I looked for 15 to 30-second ads on Facebook that are somewhat salacious and eye-catching. And someone can be led from there, if they want, there's an offer at the end of every ad, to the next step, which is a longer piece of content. But there's an order to this content. And that's the thing that I kind of want to point out here on this slide. And I'll make this available to you if your folks want to download it from you and your source, because I think that would be useful.
That'd be awesome.
But the first thing is to do this Bally ad. So the Bally ad its intent is to plant the pixel. And the second ad then is content that is typically animation to inform people what the content, what the commercial is about. Now, the reason I use an animation second is because we learn as kids to believe cartoons. On Saturday morning, we sit down and we suspend disbelief. And our brain becomes hardwired to believe this form of communication as being truthful. Even though it's the Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote, George Jetson, we go, hey, we're going to suspend disbelief, and that's real. Well, your brain holds on to that wiring as you become an adult. And when you see an animation, your natural disposition of your subconscious is to go, they're showing me this in an animated form or a chart or a diagram or a diorama because they can't show it to me in the real world, and this is how it really works. Mm-hmm. So with a lot of products, I will lean into this is how it really works before they ever even really see the product in detail, because I want the mind to already have a construct of the way it works and the features and the benefits of it before they even get to it. So then I've got that kind of concretized in the mind. So
yeah, no, it sounds smart. I mean, because it's all about seeing yourself using the product, and that I instead of like diving into going over this is benefit 1, this is benefit 2, this is benefit 3, when they have no start to that, where they haven't really experienced through video form what the product can do. I can see why that's super powerful in that framework.
Yeah, so there's this entire sequence. So it starts with this Bally ad, then it goes into an animation, and then you start doing things like testimonials or demonstrations. And I'll kind of blow through this quickly. Yeah, that's me on one side, fishing with a line when I was a little kid, and then eventually I learned to fish with a net online and on TV. So these are the clients and types of people I work with, and they're the types of people anybody can work with, but the techniques can be used at the smallest level. And I want to show you how that's done. I learned this first technique. It's called ballying, and it's used by all fair pitchmen, and recognize that fair pitchman, I'm pretty sure. Powered by the air you breathe and fueled by the water you drink. Billy was just an absolute miracle of a talent at coming up with demonstrations that could get people's attention and get them over to his fair booth to sell whatever he was selling at the fair. And he sold everything at the fair, including OxyClean. And that's how he got to TV, was through his sales of OxyClean. So this is an example of a Bally ad online. And this ad is short, but in the content of it, you'll see what it is. I don't want to reveal what the product is, because I want you to go through the same experience that the consumer goes through when they see the product. And I'll come back and we'll look at the ad frame around this in a second. But here's the ad.
I'm going to need to see your license and registration, ma'am.
I'm going to need you to blow into this, sir.
What?
It's a breathometer. Ooh, your breath is kicking. I'm going to let you off with a warning this
time. Oh man, I love your choice of actors.
Yeah, thank you. And Kurt did a great job, and so did Christina. They're good friends of ours, and I adore them both. But this is the point of a Bally ad, and how a Bally ad should work. Is a Bally ad should take something and make it salacious or turn it on its ear. So what we did here is we took a very simple thing of what is having bad breath. And I ask this in classes all the time. I ask students, give me an example where your breath's got to be good. And everybody says, oh, when you go for the kiss. And I go, no. When is it life-threatening to you? Like, when does your breath have to be good? When you get stopped by a cop.
Yeah, when someone's like talking, like in your face, basically, right?
Yeah, but if you're going to get a DWI, you don't want the cop to smell alcohol on you. So I took the situation of being pulled over by a policeman. I took the farthest extreme of bad breath up to where the stakes were the highest for you as a consumer, and I made light of it. So how we chose to make light of it is, to me, kind of the interesting thing. So
real quick too, like, how'd you come up with that idea? Was it just something you sat around and kind of brainstormed, and that was like an idea that stuck? Or did you have a framework or a process that you went through to really come up with that idea?
I do have a framework and a process, and I teach it. I have a class on it on creativity, but it really is very simple. It's just what I said, is I took the situation of bad breath and I said, what's the highest stakes possible? And I pushed it out to mentally, like, when is the most important time? Like, I could have gone and said, hey, the most important time is my executioner. If I have good breath for my executioner, maybe I get out of being hung. And I'd said it in medieval times. But what I did was I took this idea of a cop, but I reversed it and I made the cop have bad breath. But here's why. This is really critical to getting to someone to click on an ad. Was, if you go back, I'll share the ad frame. Again, these are the ad frames that we had. Can you see those?
Yep.
The one on the right is woman breathalyzes cop. So that they're seeing a stagnant ad of a policeman leaning over a car and it says woman breathalyzes cop. The other one says breath lives matter. So what I'm essentially doing is we're appropriating two things from our society that make you nervous. But when you hear the word cop, cops are bad guys. You'd never call a cop to his face. They're policeman or officer. But cop is dirty cop, dirty lawyer, dirty judge. Like, it's a bad word. So you go, cop, woman breathalyzes cop, flips it. Like, is this cop drunk? I can't not click.
Right. Yeah.
So we created.
Yeah, that headline is absolute, curiosity. It's a great hook there.
So I want to show you, though, how powerful that really is to think these through, and how simple it was. It's a pretty simple idea that I set up there, right?
Yep.
But here's what the results were. I spent $10,000 on that ad in distribution, and I planted 3.3 million pixels. So for 0.003 of a penny, I now had 3.3 million pixels out there of people to advertise to.
Wow.
That's a net. Like, I've got them now. Then I looked at the net and I went, how many people watched that commercial far enough to see what the product was? And I fired everybody else. I got rid of the rest of the audience. If they never saw him grab that breath mint, they were gone. So now the second ad, I went to the animation. So can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Okay, how did I do that? Hold on, bear with me.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, that's a really cheap CPM and CPP.
Yeah.
That you did, with that video. You said it came out to 3 pennies, right? 3 cents?
It came out to 0.003 of 1 penny.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
It was crazy cheap.
That's ridiculously cheap. Because most of the time, CPMs, and obviously the market and the competition and the quality of the ad all dictates your CPM that you come out with. But CPMs typically, on average in the industry, are around, let's just say, $10 to $50 CPM.
Right.
And so that's super. That's, if you don't know what that means, guys, that's cost to reach 1,000 impressions. Basically about 1,000 people. So it typically costs about $10 to $50. So if you do the math, Ron just did something absolutely incredible in the CPM result. He was able to create with this video ad example you just went over.
So when you're thinking about your product and you're thinking about your creative goal, what can I do to kind of like burn a trash can on the internet, get someone to pay, but have it be germane to what you're ultimately selling? That wasn't just a salacious ad that wasn't meaningful to the topic. It was meaningful to the topic. So now we have the kind of the attitude of a brand that's fun and is willing to make fun of itself, and it's a breath brand. So now we go to step 2 in animation. Now I already explained to you why animations work, but let me show you how we executed the animation.
Some people's breath smells like... It makes you want to... Bad breath starts in your mouth with bacteria. These little devils can double and count every 20 minutes. They discharge hydrogen sulfide gas, which is the chemical signature for bad breath. It makes you want to... As a molecule, the hydrogen sulfide has a simple structure that can be destroyed with the right weapon. Zinc. That's right, zinc. Introducing Breath Rocks, the crystal-powered popping functional breath freshener with zinc. Zinc instantly neutralizes hydrogen sulfide on contact, taking away odor. Makes you want to. If freshness and adaptability are what you want, choose Breath Rocks now. Rock your best breath with Breath Rocks.
And you have a good offer too. 2 tubes free. That's a great offer at the end of a really incredible, funny and effective and educational ad.
So you know what it does now. You know what the product is. There's an offer. It's a complete infomercial. It's step 2. It's the animation, but with an offer. Yep. Now, the key to that is there's all these things you wish you could say on Facebook about bad breath, but you can't insult the customer in the verbiage on Facebook. You can't say you've got bad breath. You can't say you're fat. You can't say you're ugly. You can't say your wife's mean or your husband's rude. But you can say some people's breath emoticon because it goes right around the algorithm. It goes right around the bot. Yep. So with this campaign that I'm rolling across for you is like, how do you outgame the game, right? And we're able to sell a substantial amount. We did a couple $1 million in this product in the first year. So step 3, it is also, I think, fairly critical in that, let me share again.
So what was the ad spend that you put into that, those ads that you created? And then what was the outcome?
Our MERs on that were, what the crazy thing is with this particular product is we were able to consistently drive the offers up. We started with a $10 offer and we got up to a $30 and $40 offer, and it just got better and better. So nice. that was the thing I think that was the most curious about it, was we were able to have metrics that flowed, and it always did kind of a 2-to-1 online, which was great. We would break even at that, but this customer would come back and order more. So the lifetime value of this customer was much greater.
Was where you pay,
It's recurring revenue.
There's so many value nuggets you just drop there. One, think about customer lifetime value as opposed to what you're going to make on the front end. It was important for you to know that, and you knew you were getting about a 200% ROI off your ad spend to acquire, but you also knew that that's not really where the money's made. The money's made in the follow-up, and that's why I'm really focused on lifetime value. So that's huge, and listeners definitely need to really take heed in that, because that's the number one way to win when it comes to advertising, is focusing on lifetime value, in my opinion. And then on top of that, I loved how that you really tracked your numbers, and and that's so important too as well when it comes to advertising online, is having proper tracking, knowing your numbers at all times. And you demonstrated that as well. No matter how much success you've had, you always have to know your numbers precisely. Yeah,
and I think that part of that for me is being an ex-grocer is I always operate from a P&L. If it doesn't work on paper, it doesn't work in the real world. So I don't even go out and attempt things that are not going to work, that are not going to pass. But what I will do, and I think that this is something that most people are reticent to do and shouldn't be, is I will give the customer the best possible deal as I possibly can. I don't start out trying to make a huge margin and kill them. I try to keep the margin very narrow for myself to test the creatives and see if the advertising works. And then I can change the offers like I did in this case. I just kept going. I went from 3 tubes to 6 tubes to 9 tubes to 12 tubes. And I just kept getting bigger until I got to a $70 offer for breath mints, which is insane.
That's smart too. I mean, that was something else that I noticed as well, is that when it comes to rolling out an offer, you always want to start low, whatever you can afford, and, get it working at that point, and then test increasing it over time, the price, and, like you said, and also just how much you're selling, with the price as well.
Yep. So here is the third step, and this is on that spreadsheet as well. And this goes back to GoPro. Is the entire GoPro campaign, where we ended up doing $600 million a year in revenue, was based on a contest of giving GoPros away, of driving people to a site and getting them to enter and then see the product and realize, oh, everybody's going to enter. Why would I not purchase this? It's just easier just to buy the thing. And here's this contesting and giving away product is critical. And I can't impress upon people enough why. Most people think, oh, I'll be giving product away. I'm going to get a bunch of losers and a bunch of fools that are signing up and the freebie people. No, that's not what's actually happening. What happens when a person enters a contest is the same thing that happened to you when you were 7 and you entered a contest. What'd you do? Mm-hmm. You entered something on the cereal box, you mailed it in, and then what did you do?
Yeah, you were wondering, hey, Mom, did I get anything in the mail? For the longest time.
That's exactly. You drove your mom crazy about the mail. You're at the mailbox all the time. Okay, why? Because you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's because you have anticipation, you have excitement, you're hoping, and you invested emotion into entering into that contest.
How do you feel when Amazon box shows up on your porch?
Excited.
It's the same thing. The key to a contest is you've already mentally and emotionally purchased the product. You already picture yourself with it. You already own it. And you're now in a mindset that you're getting screwed out of it by not having it physically with you. Mm-hmm. So you have a level of design. Any guy who has gone online to a car configurator, from a pickup truck to whatever, and designed their own vehicle from BMW or Nissan or Acura, anybody who does that online, they buy cars. That's why those car configurators are out there. They want you to see yourself in that car, and you can't not. And that's the trick of contesting. So you have to get your head around contesting, and it has to be part of your program. The great thing is, provides you with tons of free advertising once you've done it. Because you got people that have testimonials for you.
Absolutely. I mean, some takeaways for the audience here. I mean, you want to start using contest, in your marketing. For one, you can use Willio, which is a Shopify plugin, to run a contest to everybody that visits your store. You can, set that up to be more segmented. For example, people that are new to your brand, you can only show it to them, for example. So that's an easy way to be able to capture emails. You can also retarget people that have visited your store or have checked out your content, but haven't converted into a lead. You can retarget those people with a contest offer where you're giving away maybe your product, or even maybe like some sort of bundle, to really excite them, and you're giving that away, and then you can really serve that offer over a Facebook Messenger ad, drive them into Facebook Messenger, capture them on Facebook Messenger as a subscriber. That's another list that you probably want to be developing if you're not already. And then on top of that, you can get their email address, and you could push it automatically into your marketing follow-up software, whether it's Klaviyo or whether it's Infusionsoft or any other, marketing automation software out there. So, contests are powerful. So you definitely want to pay attention to this part here.
Now, I'm going to say, you've said it in a number of ways, but I'm going to say it in a really simple way for them.
Cool.
Once you've obtained their email address, you're no longer paying to put ads in front of them. You get to obtain you've already got them. They're free now. They're free to email. You no longer have to pay $1 to get them on Facebook, or $10 to get them on. You got them. Now you've got an email customer, and so much of our revenue, like 50% of our revenue, is done via email. So the earlier you can get that email address, and then there you hit it for me right here. So I didn't even have to say it myself. Step 4 is use email. Use your abandoned carts, use your SMS, use your bots, use Messenger. That's the game. Okay. So now step 5. I hope you can see by now what I've really done here is I've taken a long form infomercial and I've pulled apart the intro to a long form infomercial. That first 3 or 5 minutes of an infomercial is the part where the excitement is built and you really want it. Remember that peak that I talked about? This is what I'm doing. I'm just spoon feeding it to the audience. So in step 5, I want to give them proof. I need a demonstration. I need some science. I need some testimonials. So here's what we did in the case of Breath Rocks.
Yeah, it smells like beer. From the donuts.
I guess.
Good job.
Yeah, that's bad. It's tasty. I like it. It's good. Good. It's poppy. It is totally poppy.
Oh, there you go. That was watermelon meat bullshit. that is better, actually. I got watermelon. Yeah.
Oh, I can like smell the fruitiness almost on our breath. It's amazing. It's your face.
It's
Out all night.
yeah.
Okay.
So what'd we do?
Awesome. The payoff.
We brought it back from, we've taken them from this journey of the cop and the bad breath to practicality, to sexuality. So we're going to make out. So we're going to kiss, because that's why you want to have good breath ultimately, is you're going to eventually get that close to somebody, hopefully. And so we brought it to your identity now. So
Yeah.
It's
No,
not.
that was smart. That was very effective.
But it's all just spoon feeding. It's really just walking people to the place where,
Yeah. Where they want to go, where they want to end up. Yeah.
And finish with an offer. Whoop. And then the next step is take them to your store.
Yep.
They know they want to buy, take them to your store. Then the next step after that, third-party referrals. Start putting in front of them outside sources, the Consumer Reports type vibe, where they hear from somebody outside of you that you are telling the truth and your product's good and that it's real. And that's essentially the infomercial formula pulled out and reconstructed for the internet. And the great thing about that is I could string all of those pieces of video together that I showed you into one piece for YouTube. It's a 5-minute long YouTube commercial.
Yeah, no, yeah, I could see, that being just a powerful video ad, no matter what the medium is, whether it's TV, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's VR, in the future. Question for you though, like, how did you, when it came to getting other brands to validate and edify, the product that you were promoting, was there any like secret sauce to that where you were able to, cultivate that opportunity with a third party and then get content published under that brand?
Yes, I own that website.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's smart.
I own a third-party referral website, and I write reviews for my clients' products, my friends' products, and our own products. But the trick to it is, and you can go to the site and you can look at the reviews. And sometimes we lead with the reviews. Like that's step one sometimes to some audiences, particularly if the product is super high. And I'll tell you why. Well, I'll tell you how. First, I tell the truth about the product. If I write a third-party article about a product even a product that I own, I'll say all the bad stuff because I'm using the article space to do 3 things. The first thing is certainly to sell the product, that's for sure. But 2, to tell the customer exactly what their experience is really going to be so they don't have disappointment which takes care of number 3, complaints and returns. If you are good at informing the customer of what their experience is going to be within the context of a sales article, your returns will drop through the basement. You'll have a much higher degree of satisfaction. We're not in the business of lying to people and taking their money. We're in the business of convincing them that something's true. I created a third-party referral page because Consumer Reports won't let you advertise. You can't use their name, they'll sue you. And it aggravated me for so many years. I was like, I don't want to lie to anybody. I'm just going to tell them what it is. And so I have been known to, we have an agency and we have products that we own, but on the agency side, I have been known to write articles that are third-party truthful articles for prospects and put the article out there and let the prospects start getting traffic from that. And they call me and they're like, what the heck's going on? We're getting sales from this site that you own. I'm like, I'm just telling people what your product is. And I'm telling them the truth.
That's smart.
And so they're like,
Nice.
okay, I guess you know how to sell our product.
Wow. Yeah, that's really smart. That's amazing. Right on. Well, I want to be, respectful of your time. I know we're getting to the top of our hour here that we have together. What's the best way for people that have seen this, have, been able to consume all this value that we've provided and you've provided? How can people follow up on this and, get to know you more, follow you and your brand, and possibly even work with you?
So there's a couple ways. One is I'm easy to find at Big Baby Agency on Facebook or online, and I prefer the Facebook route. There's a longer version of these commercials in the presentation I just gave you at the top of that page that kind of explains how we do Facebook, and there's more commercial examples and how we put the 5 commercials together for different brands. And so that you can find that on my Facebook page at Big Baby Agency. You'll know that it's the right place because my wife and I are in like a still photo of us smiling, drinking a glass of wine on the deck. Then
Nice.
I have a school called the Marketing Mercenary online where people can go through a 13-week training program, and pretty much I download everything that I know from money mindset and how, because I have partners that are billionaires and partners that are millionaires, like how those people think, and it's completely different to the way I grew up thinking about money. I had no idea what money really was and how it really worked until I hung around people that had it and had kind of fallen into it. Like they had to discover it themselves, and they were kind enough to share those kind of mindset secrets about it. So I teach that for a couple of weeks, and then we move on to how to pick a product. And then we move on to copywriting and video content, how to create content. But everybody in the class is working on their own projects as their homework, whether it's their company or their brand. And we throw them out if they don't do homework every week. Just like a client will fire you, you sign up and pay for the course. And if you don't do the homework, you get your butt tossed out. Just like if I didn't do work for Samsung, if I didn't show up and get my creative brief done, they'd just fire me and get another agency. So I take a certain amount of discipline and responsibility in this 13 weeks as well. And then
that's awesome. Because there's a lot of online programs out there, but not all of them are good. And part of the reason that I've seen why a lot of them are just crap is because there's no accountability. Accountability, is the key to getting the outcome, when you're selling something that's educational like that. So I really love how you've baked that in.
And I don't let everybody in the program. You have to be pretty smart to even find it. It's not like it's widely advertised on the web. I kind of hide it, and people have to come to me and say, hey, I'd really like to learn from you. And I have this process, it's Socratic. And I go, do you really want to learn from me? Because this is not going to be easy for you. It's not like, download the videos and watch them. It's not that kind of a course. It's a toil. Cool. It's work, but you become competent and ethical.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. And then who are the perfect fits, for, let's just, the agency side and, also, the online educational side?
For the agency side, if you're, obviously if you're funded and you have a consumer good that you believe has a strong innovation, I don't sell commodities. I'm not interested in commodities. I want innovation. You have to have a margin of at least 5 to 1. So it costs $20 in the factory to get it to you, it's $100 on the street to get it to the customer, that's fine. I don't do the, hey, we make it for 20 and sell it for 40. That's not, you cannot build $1 billion brand out of that. You must have an audience, and hopefully your audience can be subdivided. And you must be lacking the talent of storytelling, probably, if you want to hire me as an agency, because that's what I do, is I tie the audience to the innovation and provide them with a story that makes them want to pay the margin.
Yep. Nice. Good. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And personal question, actually, because, we're really good at getting 5 to 10 times ROI off of paid advertising online using our ARM5 formula for, 7+ figure e-commerce businesses. And we're now starting to teach that and, coach other business owners as well in our mastermind. But my question is do you sell like maybe packages for creating the stories or creating the videos, story ads even, do you have packages like that you'd be open to? Because I know a lot of our clients could definitely, utilize your service and utilize that impact, and we can help them amplify that, obviously. So is there anything like that you offer as well?
Yeah, there's 2 things that we offer, and one I'm kind of notorious for the first one, which is the $1,000 cup of coffee. I'm the guy who invented selling coffee for $1,000, because I used to have people say that they wanted to pick my brain, and I just don't like my brain picked. I want you to implement. I'm totally about people that implement. I'll help anybody that's an implementer. So I just got to the point where I was like, if you want to have coffee with me, it's $1,000. And people were like, how arrogant of you. I'm like, no, it means you're not really going to use the information. But when people write a check for $1,000, then I'll write them a document based on a 2-hour coffee with them, and they run away with some good ideas. They typically come back and say, we'd like you to come and implement those. And then we sit down and we do what we call a $5,000 day, where I go through your audience and your story and your innovation, and we create in a day, just usually 2 days a day together, and then me walking away and assembling this content and giving you a couple of scripts based upon that to really, now you can decide whether you want to go shoot this yourself or whether it's print copy or it's email copy, but you'll have all of the kind of the arsenal built to pull from. So you'll have all of the arrows in your quiver to go out and do what you need to do. So that's awesome. It's kind of an affordable way for somebody to have a relatively, expensive thing that's normally pretty expensive. I charge a lot of companies $30,000 to $50,000 for that step. So
but it's worth it, obviously.
You have to be under a certain threshold for me to say yes to that, obviously.
Yep. Makes sense. Well, thanks, Ron. I truly appreciate that. And, thank you for sharing so much valuable content today. I mean, I've learned quite a bit. I know the audience is going to receive massive value out of this, just knowing e-commerce businesses out there and some of the challenges and stress points that they have in their business as well. So, thanks, so much for, being on the e-commerce performance marketing show. I truly appreciate it. And guys, if you're watching this, definitely reach out to Ron Lynch. You can find him, it sounds like, on Facebook, but you could also go to his 2 brands. Can you give it one more time, Ron?
You just go to Big Baby Agency on Facebook and go to the messenger bot and at the top video, and just, if you want to just hit the button that's for messenger and say brief, we'll download you a blank creative brief and strategic brief that you can get right through the messenger bot, and you can start doing this stuff yourself. Awesome. There you go, guys. All right. Thanks, Ron, for being on, man. I truly appreciate it. My pleasure. Thank you. I hope everybody does it. That was really fun, man. Really good stuff. It's always fun talking to people that, can really talk about marketing and advertising to the level that you talk at. It's just, it was a fun conversation. Thank you for being on. Thank you. No, I really appreciate you having me, and I always hope that it does good in the world. Like, that's my goal. Is I see so much, frankly, garbage advertising and people advertising knowledge. And there's people that advertise at a very high level for very high expensive programs who don't have a single brand that I know of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. My Facebook feed is full of people from both coasts saying, I'm an expert in content advertising. And I go, where's your Samsung? Where's your GoPro? Where's your OxyClean? They don't have one. I know one guy who is really good in the wine business at it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's just the expert title, it's tossed around, way too easily online, and it's earned,
Well,
frankly,
it starts
and you should be the one.
expert starts with experience. Experience. They shortened
Right.
it expert. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of amateurs out there
Yeah.
calling themselves experts. So
Yeah, I know, unfortunately. I feel that, something I thought of, I wanted to maybe just bring up after the interview. So, do you think there might be some sort of mutual win-win opportunity for you and I on maybe some sort of video story ad product like program that's just purely videos and maybe some PDFs and worksheets and instructions and support going through that process. Even, just some sort of like small product that can sell to the mass market online that can maybe get us both leads on the back end, or we can figure something out there.
yeah, absolutely. And there's also, like, I'm willing to have an affiliate on my course, which is already constructed, and it could be extremely lucrative if you have an audience for it. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
essentially free money, and we sign up affiliates for it. So we can talk.
How much is it? Like, how much is the program?
Normally it's $5,000, but with audiences and like friends and family rate is $19.97, which
Oh, wow.
$2,000. Is that a big price or a small price? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I said wow because of the discount, but I mean, it's worth it. It's just that I'm thinking e-commerce businesses, because I know from advertising on Facebook and having lots of data and experience there that there's a lot of new e-commerce businesses versus actually good ones and successful ones, and that's where the mass market is. So that's why I was thinking maybe something that's like maybe $99 at most, that we can sell to the mass market and we can get to work. I think that would be powerful for getting leads for both of us that we'll use in some sort of way. I have no problem pitching something that's $1,997, knowing you and all the value you provide. And I can speak to that for sure. And there will definitely be some segments of our audience that will be receptive to it. But I know that there's a majority of that audience that just because it's Facebook, just because it's Instagram, that are just not aren't going to be nearly as receptive to it. Whereas they'll, sign up for a free, 3-part, 5-part video course on that, on, creating a brand story ad. Or they might be interested in, buying the product, for $49.99, especially if it's done in a seamless way online, which we can obviously do. So, that's all.
Yeah, no, we can. Yeah, and we can talk about that. We've talked internally about, like, this product turns into a $25,000 week-long experience if someone wants to do it at the Wizard Academy with me and Roy Williams and Mark Fox, like
Nice.
Brian Dice. Like, well, we will.
Yeah.
So it's tough for me. Once upon a time, I shot a commercial with Hank Haney, Tiger Woods trainer.
Okay.
He's a golf trainer, and he had a TV show for a long time where he had celebrities on and he was teaching them how to golf. And Hank's kind of a cantankerous old dude, and he had an interesting perspective on this, because I was on the tee box with a couple of pro golfers and him, and Hank watched me swing, and I said, "Can you help me?" And he goes, "Oh, hell no. Yeah, I can't do a thing. There's nothing I can do with that." And he's right. But and the point of that story is, I don't know if I want people that aren't going to succeed in the first place. The people who do the $49 and $99 courses, then what you end up with is people at the other end that went, "Oh, I took that guy's course for $100. It wasn't anything." Yeah. But my course is in depth and it really changes your life. And the testimonials are like, "Oh, we doubled and tripled our revenue and our income." Yeah. Like, that's what we get, all 5-star ratings. But the work that we get back, because it is work. It's not watching videos. It's creating stuff. People are so, like, they have to create 20-page documents and sales briefs and scripts. By the time they're done, they have a talent that they hadn't had. And so they succeed. And so then I get credit for that success. And that's that's why I'm reticent. Why I don't just jump in and go, yeah, let's create a $99 product. We could sell 1 billion of them. I don't really want to sell $1 million $99 products.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
I mean,
it's easier to sell.
Disciples.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just brainstorming out loud, just thinking about ideas and, well, man, I do appreciate you being on. And
real quick, because I got to get on another call like this in 5 minutes, where I'm interviewing somebody for a book that we're writing. So I apologize. I have to go, but I thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. Thank you for tuning into the e-commerce performance marketing show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment with a timestamp of your favorite part and share it with a friend. Until our next episode, here's to you and the success of your e-commerce business.